right, family, I might be live right now. Brother Rich might be live right now. Make sure this is on mute. Billy Carson, you there, my brother?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, I do. All right, we
great.
are live right now, my brother. We are live right now.
I just saw the notification. Yeah.
Yeah, indeed. All right, so family, let me see who's in the chat room real quick. See if the people started to join us. Demi, yo, Demi, you always the first one, man. Shout out to Demi. Always the first one in the chat room. One of the first ones, if not the first one. Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's what's up. I appreciate the support. A Philosophy of Hustle, One Detroit, 6 Point Dweller. Everybody filling in the chat room. Shout out to all of y'all. Let me know how the sound is with me and my brother Billy when we get started. Just want to make sure everything's all right. Everything's good with us. We're gonna have a good show tonight. You know, we prepping sci-fi, shout out sci-fi, moderating the chat room. We're prepping for November 3rd, family. We got something real big coming up November 3rd. So we prepping for it. We getting ready. And Billy Carson has a special message tonight because he's gonna have an extremely special lecture, one of a kind, on November 3rd. Don't forget, we also going to have a performance with Cambatta, Blue Pill, Red Pill, you know, the brother Master Gano Grills. It's going to be absolutely amazing. So make sure y'all in attendance, get the live stream, do what you got to do, but be there somehow. Be there somehow. All right, so the sound is good. The chat room's filling in. Billy Carson, welcome to the show again, my brother.
Hey, what's up, man? Good to be back.
Indeed, man. It's good to have you back on here, my brother. Yo, you ready for November 3rd, New York City?
Man, I am so pumped up, man. I haven't been to New York in so long, so I'm excited just to even be back in the city. You know, I was born in Queens, so it's like coming out, it's like a homecoming for me. You know what I mean?
you got a New York misdemeanor.
Yeah, you know, it's in the DNA, it's in the family.
How long has it been since you've been to New York?
I went to New York directly after 9/11. Probably, I would say not even 1 year after 9/11. When I was there, it was so new that smoke and steam was still coming up out of the hole. You know, I had that fence that went around it with those slats in it, trying to keep people from seeing in. So that was the last time I was in New York. It's been a long time.
So you traveled the world. Where's your favorite place in the world? Before we get into the interview, where's your favorite place in the world?
My favorite artifact site or site for ancient anomalies would be Egypt.
Egypt.
Egypt. That would be my favorite because the magnitude of the temples and the pyramids and everything in that one area, you know, you spend a month there. If you can spend even just 2 weeks there, flying around to the different areas. I took a Nile cruise. I got on 3 flights and took a Nile cruise, still within that area, just to go see, you know, everything. Of course, the Great Pyramids of Giza, which is not just the 3 pyramids that you see normally on TV. It's actually many more pyramids in that area. It's just obviously the 3 main pyramids in that one location, where the Great Pyramid make most of the news in the media. But there's a lot more there. Saqqara, Memphis, which is which once was the head of Egypt, or the capital of Egypt, Memphis. The Temple of Dendera, the Temple of Karnak. I mean, you know, all these temples that I've been to, Thebes. I mean, the more you go into it, and every time you go to one of these places, it's like there's another one and another one and another one, and they're so massive and they're all so colorful with all the ancient history and information built into the structure and all the glyphs. You know, I probably looked at 1 million glyphs just through that 1 month time. It's an amazing place, you know.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
Okay, so Egypt. So what about Asia? Have you ever been to like Australia or Europe? You ever been? Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, my favorite place in Asia is Cambodia.
Cambodia. So you
to Hong Kong, Singapore, Vietnam.
Okay.
Of course, Cambodia. Cambodia to me is also another amazing place. And that was one of the other places that I actually said, I very rarely say this, I would go back. Because there's so much to see on this planet. To go back to the same exact place it's kind of like, okay, why would you do something like that? So I like to want to experience a lot of new places and go to new archaeological sites. But Cambodia, I went hiking through the jungle, 38 miles over the course of a week and a half, in 100% humidity and 120 degrees every single day. But it was well worth it. It was definitely well worth it, man. Some of the stuff that I saw in Cambodia was absolutely mind-blowing. The Angkor Wat temple where
I was about to ask you about Angkor Wat. Yeah, that's what
I got blessed by a monk at Angkor Wat, which, you know, was just amazing. And got a chance to meet up with the monks in the back of the main Angkor Wat temple, which they never talked to any tourists. But they were like, you know, welcome me, and they want to take a photo with me. The photo's up on Instagram, so it's like, wow, they took a photo and everything with me. Yeah, incredible. Got to go to Kulin Mountain, and it's like a 3-mile hike up to a gigantic waterfall. I got to swim with monks. It was an incredible experience. I mean, Cambodia was off the charts, and I definitely would go back to Cambodia as well.
What would you say is the main difference between when you're on the East, their perception of reality versus our perception of reality here in America?
Oh, man, it's night and day. Over there in the East, the way that they perceive things, including even things like prayer, is totally different than the way we perceive things on our side. So in the East, for example, when you go to the holy men or the sages, people that are trying to do healing, their whole mindset is it's already done, it's complete. They're coming with the power mindset. Their mindset is, yeah, we're healers, but we're only healing you because the power of the universe is inside of our body, and we're going to transmit that information or that power directly into that frequency into your body, and that's why you're going to be healed. So their mindset is it is done, versus where our mindset in America or in the West is more like, please help, please, can somebody come and throw a life preserver out and reel me in, help. And it's no, we're claiming, I'm going to claim that it's done. I'm going to claim, but there's still a mindset of, even though you're saying the word, it's still a mindset of begging. So our mindset here is totally different than in the East. They come in with the power mindset, with the ancient knowledge and esoteric wisdom, and we're coming with the dumbed down version of trying to be spiritual and religious, which is more turns out to be begging and hoping versus knowing.
Indeed. I seen you post a clip of Reverend Ike on your Instagram the other day. That's the man right there.
Oh yeah, man. Listen,
man right there.
Classic. A lot of people don't know about Reverend Ike, man. So every now and then I try to drop him in. I try to seed him in there because man, he dropped some serious knowledge bombs, man. Some real awakening type. He was ahead of his time, man.
Way ahead. He was bold, man, to go up in the churches talk like that. Real bold, man.
At the highest level.
Yeah. So okay. Well, that's interesting, my brother. Like I said, family, for those just joining, I'm here with the brother Billy Carson. We're gearing up for November 3rd. The brother's coming to New York. A magnificent presentation he's going to give to the people. Now, the name of it is, I don't want to mess up the name, Kemetic Principles for Quantum Entangled Manifestations.
Yeah.
That sounds quite interesting. I think what's so great about that title is that we need to follow the blueprint of our ancestors who were successful. Since we have been stripped of a thorough knowledge of self, we have to go back and see exactly what they were doing because they created magnificent civilizations. So I'm glad that you're taking it back to the Kemetic principles. And it seems like you're fusing it with what we call quantum physics now. And I know it's going to be off the chain, my brother. I know it's going to be off the chain.
I can't wait, man. A lot of people don't realize the amount of real heavy duty science that our ancestors had embedded into everything, including all the structures, the way that they wrote their words, even like the way that the glyphs are written. The glyphs and the enunciation of the original glyphs, which is called the language of light, is really what it translates to. Is speaking with light language and frequency language. So even the way that they spoke words, even though they were having a communication, they were still speaking with power and frequency to emanate at the same time. And understanding what they were saying was going to have an effect on the ether of space-time. So the amount of power that they left behind, the principles that they left behind, the way that we can utilize this kind of frequency and technology is built into our avatar bodies to actually alter our reality tunnel. It's something that a lot of people just don't know about, and it's really powerful stuff, man. You can really direct your path in this universe, and you don't have to leave everything up to chance, because collectively we create reality. So there's going to be some things that are left up to a quote unquote chance, which is really other people's tunnels intersecting with yours. But there's a true path that you can carve out for yourself in your own reality tunnel that you can really help navigate through this matrix of electromagnetic waves and get the outcome that you're looking for in most cases. And that's what we're going to talk about. And we're going to help people really expand their consciousness and bring forth a brand new, fresh 2020 that's going to lead them to health, wealth, riches, successes that they've never even dreamed were capable, or maybe dreamed of, but have been having trouble reaching them. And we're going to help people expand and reach out to those goals and touch them and live them.
Now, when we talk about our ancestors and we talk about ancient aliens or extraterrestrials, do you think when we talk about our ancestors interacting with these what we call aliens, do you think our ancestors were high on shrooms, in a sense that I know brothers that they take the shrooms or they take whatever and they see these entities, and these entities, the shit that this is when they come up with inventions and shit like that. George Washington Carver said the plants told him and shit what to do. So do you think our ancestors was high on shrooms or something like that, and that was their interaction with these aliens?
It's very possible. I mean, you can't rule that out. I think it's a combination of several things. I think that there's different types of beings. So you have the multidimensionals, which were all multidimensional beings, but there's true, multidimensionals, in my opinion, that have the capability of being wherever that when you take those shrooms, when you take that ayahuasca, psilocybin, whatever it is, and you take it, it then creates a frequency that emanates from your mind, from your magnetic, the crystals in your brain. Okay, so these crystals start to emanate this frequency, this specific frequency, because you have billions of magnetite crystals inside of your brain. And when you begin to tap into that frequency, that multidimensional frequency, now what happens is you open up this door, this portal, this gateway, where a lot of these other multidimensional entities are on that same frequency. They're able to come in. And a lot of them, I believe, are highly intelligent beings that have the capability of transmitting or imparting knowledge and wisdom in a lot of cases. I never really heard of anything truly bad happening. I've researched and talked to a lot of people now, but I haven't heard any horror stories. So something there definitely is good, and it definitely is usable content and information that's being imparted to us from people. I think that when we reach that specific frequency consciously, we open up that gateway and our worlds mix for a small amount of time. So I believe that's 100% possible, and you can get a lot of information and ideas and what we call quote unquote inventions, which are only rediscovered downloads from space-time. And then you have, to me, I believe, physical beings that did come from other places within a third dimensional reality that truly are flesh and blood people just like us. Some of them had the capability of knowing a little bit more and having a little bit more technology, which gave us, or maybe some other people, the illusion of that they were deities. In true reality, they were just flesh and blood people, most likely just our cousins. Because when you go back further in time to deep ancient texts, you start to hear things like us being seated on this planet, so that we originated from a whole nother star system. And when you start to research the origin of our solar system in this galaxy, the Milky Way galaxy, you discover that new peer-reviewed science has gone out and new history books are being written as we speak about the location of the Sagittarius Dwarf galaxy, which is intersecting with the Milky Way galaxy. So the Sagittarius Dwarf galaxy is actually another smaller galaxy that's being sucked up by the Milky Way. And we come from the Sagittarius Dwarf galaxy, and right where it intersects with the Milky Way is where our solar system is located. So you start to hear all these things, you start to go, man, there's a lot of stuff going on out here, that we just don't know or just understand. We're just beginning to get this information from science, and it's just now being released to the mainstream, where actually new history books are on astrophysics are being written. So there's so much going on, man. It's just so much. And I really can't wait to impart some of this knowledge and show some of this, peer-reviewed science backed up by spirituality, backed up by principles from the ancestors, and let us put it all together so that we can have a phenomenal 2020.
Indeed, family. Billy Carson is referring to the 2020 Ascension Conference. You could click the link in the description if you would like tickets or if you would like the live stream. Also, family, make sure you hit up the Cash App, show support. That is in the chat as well. Billy Carson, so what about, let's talk about hallucination. Let's say some people say, yo, I see there's a green motherfucker right there. And people be like, yo, what are you talking about? Is there such thing as hallucination, or are these people just downloading information that we can't see, or are they really crazy?
I can't, after some of the things that I've witnessed and seen in my own personal life, there's no way that I can ever call anybody crazy ever again. So luckily for me, that happened early in my life. So seeing somebody who others appear to think may be crazy, I've already had erased it out of my mind, because we don't know what's going on inside of somebody's head. We don't know what's inside of their mind. We don't know what they're thinking. We don't know what they're sensing or experiencing. Because I was born with synesthesia, the way that I perceive the world is a lot different than the way the average person perceives the world. My audio and visual cortex are merged. Okay, so every sound that I hear, including my own voice, generates a color and a number in my eyes. This is why I wear shades a lot, to be quite honest with you. A lot of people, why is you always wearing shades? It's another way of dulling out or dimming out some of the input, especially in crazy and crowded and noisy places. Sometimes it kind of helps. I even drive with shades on at night, living in the car. But, there's nobody around. So it's not about being cool. So I perceive the world a different way. Now, colors, I actually feel colors. So if I'm scrolling through an internet feed on the phone and there's a lot of bright colors, those bright colors will generate a sensation, a tingling sensation inside of my chest and my head. And I actually have to slow down. If it's something that has more earth tone colors, and the reason why I'm bringing this up, because I'm just trying to say, look, I'm experiencing the world, the same exact world you're experiencing. You're scrolling through your Instagram feed. You're not feeling those colors.
Right.
You're hearing sounds, but you're not seeing numbers and colors, So what I'm saying is everybody has a different experience in this third dimension. And you can't tell specifically how the chemical processes in their brain are functioning, what frequency their mind is on, their magnetite crystals are on, what they're picking up. All information in the entire universe is already available to every single person. There's no new idea ever created. You think you got a new idea, but what truly happened is you downloaded information because you matched a specific frequency, and you were able to decode it at that time and say, okay, this is some information that I'm saying is an idea, but in true reality, it's a download. As far as hallucinations go, there are, in my opinion, beings that have the capability of hiding in different light frequency, light waves. There could be people hiding in the ultraviolet mode. I think that a lot of the UFOs that we see appear and disappear in the sky probably move into an ultraviolet frequency. So not that they disappeared, it's that they've left the visual eyesight range of a human being, okay? Some have the capability, in my opinion, of probably even technologically tapping into the exact frequency of your eye, visual cortex. And then, so only you can see them, but nobody else can see them. So, and that's really not an amazing piece of technology. It's really, to me, that seems like some basic technology that anybody in a type 1 or 2 civilization would be able to have. And also another thing is, there may be beings that have the capability of moving from one universe to another by simply phase shifting their atomic structure to match the atomic frequency of a whole other universe and walk right into another universe. So there could be people here from other universes. Every possibility and probability in quantum physics and quantum mechanics tells you will happen and can happen and has happened. So we can't rule that stuff out. I think that everybody has their own true experience in this world, and you can't call anybody crazy by no means.
Indeed, I definitely hear what you say, my brother. Yeah, I didn't know you had what's it called, synesthesia. Yeah, I didn't know that. Wow, it's interesting to talk to somebody who could feel colors. That's very interesting. Do you consider that a gift? Like throughout your life, was that something that you really appreciated, or do you think it's something that kind of hurt you in this kind of civilization that we exist in today?
Well, you know, when I was younger, I didn't know what it was. I thought, because no, I was never diagnosed when I was younger. So I thought it was normal. And then when I got a little bit older, you know, like into my young teens, and it started getting a little bit worse. And I started asking people about it. And they were like, huh, what are you talking about? You crazy. So that's when I started realizing that I wasn't the only one. I was like the only one that was having this experience, but nobody else was having it. Then I started feeling really weird. Then I felt like an outsider. Then I got a little reclusive, and I started feeling like, let me step back, you know, and it was kind of, you know, you kind of hide yourself from the world a little bit. And then as I got a little bit older, you know, I started coming back out of my shell again. So I went into a shell and I came back out of the shell. But overall, I began to realize it was not just a curse, it was also a gift too, because I would correlate information to those colors and those numbers. And it's allowed me to do things that a lot of people can't do. Like people say, how did you get to 1,000 books, scriptures, texts, and scrolls and everything else? Some things that I can do, the average person might not be able to do. Like I can listen to an audio book and I can read a regular book at the same time, 2 different books, and I can still retain about 70% of the information. You know, so these are things that are the gift part of it. The curse part of it is, you know, it's kind of a strange thing that a lot of people, only 1 in 100,000 people are born with this. So, you know, now I'm on a Facebook group of us, it's a small group of us on Facebook that we kind of talk about our experiences and stuff like that. But it leads a lot of people into depression and things like that. They don't really understand how to utilize that gift. They don't understand how they feel like they're not, quote unquote, normal. So I try to mentor them a little bit, let them know, look, you are normal. You're just another aspect of the way the universe wants to experience this dimension. And, you know, you got to embrace that and just live your life and not worry about that kind of stuff and just try to deal with it, you know. So it's both a gift and a curse, but you can really maximize the gift aspect of it if you have the capability of seeing beyond and not worrying about too much about what other people think and how, or don't let it turn you into, I'm not fitting in with the mainstream, so now I'm depressed. If you can get away from that, it'll be a gift.
Okay. I noticed that you were talking about you used the word multidimensional, I believe. They say we exist outside of space and time. So it's not like, you know, when we transition out of here, we're trying to get somewhere. We're already there right now. Mm-hmm. So my question is, and they say, well, yeah, we're wherever we're at is timeless. So where the hell are we right now? Because we're just projecting. I'm projecting this avatar. You're projecting that avatar. Where the hell are we? They say we're in the field, whatever the field is. Where exactly are we?
You know, there's this grid that we're on. We're literally on this grid, like we're on it. You know what I mean? This grid of space-time, whatever you want to call it, third dimensional grid. This grid, though, is part of the holographic matrix. So energetically, we're connected to this thing. We're like a node on this energetic grid. I'm a node, you're a node, but in true reality, we're still all just one. Nobody's really even separate from this grid. Even the laptop I'm looking at right now to talk to you is on the same exact grid. It's just little nodes here and there and really what happens is scientists did an experiment in a laboratory where they put people in a room and they put this cap on their head with the sensors on it to pick up the electromagnetic waves and transmit it to a computer because they want to see what the brain looks like when it's experiencing different emotions. This is something brand new, and they found out something by accident. So what happened was they would put a picture up on the screen for the person of a bed of roses, an ocean. They would put then, you know, a woman getting beat up. They would put somebody getting murdered. Then they would go back to a serene image again. So they're mixing it up between serene and horror, sadness, so forth and so on. A woman crying and things like that. So the brain started transmitting to the computer. Okay, this is what it looks like when it's you know, when a person is happy. This is what it looks like when a person is at peace. This is what it looks like when a person is feeling love, and this is what it looks like when a person's horrified or scared. Now, what started happening was they were putting these images on the screen 10 minutes apart. I'm sorry, 10 seconds apart. And up to 7 seconds before the next picture showed up, the brain started transmitting to the cap, to the computer, what the next image was going to be. So what does that tell you? Up to 7 seconds in advance, the brain was receiving a stream of information and then transmitting it. It already knew what was going to happen. Why? because in this third dimension, we're not living in what we call quote unquote real time. There's a delay factor. And what that means to me is that there's a stream of consciousness coming in to this third dimension from an outside higher dimension or higher realm. It's streaming in past multiple dimensions. And then based on the frequency that's in the magnetite crystals in your brain, it captures a specific amount of that beam. And that becomes the beam or the part of your light body or light person that animates this avatar body. And we're not in real time. There's a delay factor there. We know of at least 7 seconds that exists, at least 7 seconds. So that's incredible, you know. And another thing people don't realize, we don't even see in real time. The time that it takes for the photon to bounce off of the screen, to bounce back to your retina, to get understood by your mind, to figure out what I'm looking like, what I'm saying on this computer, that takes time. Even though it's a small amount of time, it still takes time. So you only see me as I were and not as I am. So there's step down level delays that we're living in with this third dimension.
Is that why? I don't know if this is related to that. It just made me think about it when you said that. Is that why? Say I gotta use the bathroom, and I done held it for an hour. As soon as I get close to the bathroom, I feel like I'm about to piss on myself, and it feels uncontrollable out of nowhere. But I just held it for an hour. Is that related to that delay? That my brain is sending some type of signal? Because it knows
your body automatically senses, you know, when you're in a location or place that it needs to like relieve itself or go to, like when I travel out of town, I find like when I'm here in my local house, whether I'm here in Florida or in another state that I'm more common to, what happens is my body relieves itself on a consistent basis with no problem. But when I travel, I find that my body relieves itself a lot less because I'm not in a mindset of being in a comfortable place that I consider to be quote unquote home. I think your mind automatically realizes, okay, you're in a place now that you can relieve. And so now I'm going to go ahead and pull full force. This has to happen because if it doesn't, it's going to continue to circulate bacteria through the body. You know, so I think that's more having to do with biology and the mind sending those signals like, hey, man, we got to get this out of here now because, you know, it's circulating bacteria. The longer you hold it, the more bacteria is accumulating and the body knows it's got to disperse that, you know?
Indeed. All right, I want to get into, shout out to everybody in the chat. We got about 600 people in the chat. Make sure y'all hit that like button. Make sure y'all hit the like button. Make sure y'all click on the link for these tickets. November 3rd, it's going to be off the hook. Billy Carson is headlining the 2020 Ascension Conference, family. My brother Billy Carson, let's get into your book. I told the people it was one of my favorite books I read this year. This concept, this idea that, I hope I'm saying it right, that Jesus was really Tehuti.
Yeah.
Could we talk about that? I don't hear that much too often. So elaborate on that. How was Jesus really Tehuti?
Yeah, it's a very strong hypothesis that I have that I kind of cover in the book. Mm-hmm. Now, if you look at the story of Jesus, which is really Yeshua, because, you know, Jesus, a lot of people don't know, it means Hail Zeus. So every time you call on the name of Jesus, you're saying Hail Zeus. That's why that name, Hail Zeus. That's why when you call on the name of Jesus for help, you're not getting any help. You're not getting any, there's no power in that name. The man's name was Yeshua, and he was a man. He wasn't a God. But what he was, most likely, in my opinion, after doing a lot of the research, he potentially could have been an avatar, a more sophisticated new type of avatar that was developed by Thoth or Hermes. When you look at the Apocrypha text, which was kept out of the Bible, you discover that Jesus's or Yeshua's grandmother, Mary's mom, was also a virgin birth. So now I'm going, wait a minute, hold on a second. 2 virgin births in the same line to bring forth now this Yeshua character that has all this ability. And so I started really digging into it real deep. And then I came across the Gospel of the Holy 12, which is an amazing scripture that is hardly ever talked about. Almost nobody knows it even exists. I had to pay $650 for a mint copy of the scripture. You can sometimes find it for $150, $200. It's not in print anymore, so it's hard to get your hands on it.
What's the name of it?
In this scripture, the Gospel of the Holy 12.
Okay.
Yeah, and then it talks about where Jesus was when he disappeared from the Bible at the age of 12, 32. So Yeshua actually went to Egypt, which we know because the Bible says he was in Egypt, because the Bible says I had to call my son out of Egypt. But he went to Egypt. Now, I went to Coptic Cairo in 2014 to the actual house that he lived in. The house is still there. It's a shrine now, and his name is etched into the wall there, along with his mom's name, and the bed and everything they slept in underneath the like in the basement area, where he would hide and be protected there. It's still there till this very day. So the evidence that he was in, the evidence of physical evidence that he was in Egypt is there. Now, where's the conclusion or the hypothesis comes in. Okay, we have the two virgin births, which lead to this Yeshua person being born. We have the physical evidence of the house he lived in when he left out of Arabia, basically, and went into Egypt and to learn the Egyptian mysteries. This is what it talks about in the Gospel of Holy 12. He went there to learn the Egyptian mysteries, which were created by who? Thoth the Atlantean, who's also known as who? Tehuti, the same person. So he went to learn from Tehuti directly, or he is Tehuti reincarnated into a new avatar body. We in modern times we do IVF, we do in vitro fertilization. We do we can take an egg out of a woman, we can inseminate it and put it back into another woman, and that woman can now have the baby for the woman who couldn't carry the baby. And I really do think that these virgin births were not because it was a magic sky daddy with a wand saying you're pregnant, you're pregnant, you're pregnant. I think that it was really science. I think that somebody biologically and scientifically created something we call in modern terms a zygote and embedded it into the womb of Mary and also even into her mom to let Mary be born, but to bring a baby to full term, to bring in through a pregnancy and then give birth. Now, the reason why I'm thinking is when you look at the emerald tablets of Thoth, and then you compare this in the book, compare it to the New Testament of the Bible, everywhere where Jesus is speaking or referenced as speaking, I side by side put the words from the emerald tablets there. So you can see this was said 36 to 38,000 years ago. This was said, 2,000 years ago. Which came first, chicken or egg? The words that he's saying in the Bible are the same words that are in the emerald tablets. It's scary. So it's like, wait a minute, what is going on here? And so I'm really believing that because of the way Thoth is, the way he thinks, the way you begin to understand somebody's personality, it's quite possible he got tired of just using avatar bodies that he was creating, that he said, I'm going to come back through the womb. And I really do think, in my opinion, he might have been Yeshua because he might have found a way to come back through a in vitro fertilization and regain memories that way, and then come back to experience what it's like to be a physical human being, Homo sapiens sapien in the third dimension, and not what he was, which was something a little different, a different type of a being. So I'm thinking that it's very possible that he literally came back through the womb as Yeshua to experience life in the third dimension a different way, or it could be that his sperm was mixed with and put into that egg and then inserted back into the womb, so that Thoth or Tehuti's son could come through the womb, and that would be then Yeshua. So it's a combination of both. It could be either one of the two, but the parallels are so incredible. And then the Gospel of the Holy 12 talks about where he went. Well, where'd he go? After Egypt, he then learned the mysteries there. He went to Tibet and he went to India to learn mystic arts and Reiki healing. Okay, he was in Tibet and Asia learning the Reiki healing, which is where Reiki healing originates from. He went to India learning mystic arts and all the other ancient mysteries that way. And then he was healing people with his hands, and he was also teaching reincarnation the whole way back. So it's amazing scriptures that was, of course, on purpose by accident left out of the Bible. But it's really powerful stuff, man. It really led me to believe that this Yeshua character might be Thoth Tehuti, or he may be the son of.
Wow, that's an interesting hypothesis. It's something that I definitely think should be explored more. Yeah. And like I said, it's just an interesting read, family. I think you guys should definitely, if you haven't yet, check out what's the exact name of the book, Billy Carson? Compendium of the Emerald Tablets, a Beginner's Guide by Billy Carson. Compendium. A compendium is when you take information and you break it down in a way that the masses of people can actually understand it. Indeed. Let's talk about the idea of linear linear continuity versus jumping timelines. What I mean is that our ability, if time and space is an illusion, would I be able to say I'm talking to you right here? And because I think B comes after A and C comes after B and D comes after C, it's sort of like this linear, I'm experiencing life through this linear sequence. But what if I'm talking to you, then just like that, I'm in Egypt, and just like that, I'm in Africa, and then just like that, I'm in Mexico. Is this something our ancestors experienced because they didn't have the same program we had?
It's possible. When you look at the Emerald Tablets, I mean, I got to keep going back to that because what you just said, Thoth talks about that. I mean, having the capability, he would even travel to other planets through that method. Not physically, he didn't physically travel to planets in a spaceship. He would travel to planets through his mind, and he would watch civilizations rise and fall. He would transmit his essence to these locations. He said, many of the worlds I've traveled, many of the races of men on their worlds, and then he would talk about how they would strive to go from darkness to light and so forth. But our ancestors, our cousins, before we became Homo sapiens sapien, were more in tune with nature, more in tune with different human residents of the earth, utilized the magnetite crystals in their brains, probably even could communicate telepathically without using their mouth. Just like when a pack of lions are going on a hunt, they don't have to talk to each other. They can be spread out over a square mile and still communicate perfectly with each other over that distance and tell each other what to do and where to be and what. So it's amazing. And I think that we had the same capabilities, and we've kind of been disconnected from that. We're now just getting back into things like remote viewing, which I was taught remote viewing from Major Ed Dames from Project Stargate. Through that method, through that teaching, I learned how powerful the mind truly is and how the mind transcends space and time. Because you can get a target, and that target is just a number on a piece of paper. And the person who gave you that target number knows what the target is, but you don't. And you've got now you have to send your mind to track down that target. And that's outside of space and time. It could be anywhere in the future or the past or current era. You don't know where it is, what it is, or it might not even be on Earth. But the fact that it can be done, and it became even a CIA project where they were using to gather intel for the U.S. military, tells you how powerful the mind really is. To be able to take your mind and travel anywhere you want in an instant and get information and intel that can be usable, for military is very, very powerful stuff.
And that's because our nature is one of non-local awareness, right?
Correct. There's non-locality. Locality is an illusion, Non-locality is the rule of the day. I mean, literally, when you begin to realize non-locality and you begin to realize non-physicality, then you begin to see the matrix for what it truly is. And then literally at your command, you can begin to bend the matrix, which is something I'm going to talk about at the 2020 conference.
Indeed. Wow. I mean, that whole concept of remote viewing is just like, damn, man. I can't believe our civilization is so dumbed down to the extent where all of this stuff, a lot of our people will consider this stuff pseudo. Like, it's totally impossible to do all of this stuff. And just talking to brothers such as yourself and others, it's like, wow, we really had these capabilities before. It's some amazing stuff, man.
Yeah. Anything they're doing now is only a rediscovery. It's something that already existed and probably existed even better. I'm pretty sure that our ancient ancestors would find if there was a drought or if there was a shortage of food, I'm pretty sure they would then psychologically go and find it mentally. They would send their mind out. They would find water, food. They would tap into the frequency of the planet and find out what they needed to do to sustain themselves and survive and bring food back to the village. We have completely lost that connection with nature right now. I mean, not completely. Some of us are getting it back, but it's a road.
How do you feel about time travel from, traveling the world and studying? Is time travel, is that something that's real?
I think time travel is real. I think we could be getting visited from time travelers right now. There's a lot of amazing stuff going on with time travel. There's a brother who's a professor. His name is Ronald. I forget Ronald's last name right now. It eludes me, but he's been on the Discovery Channel. discovered, or he's created a way to send information back in time through this laser, a laser beam that has that's wrapped around this lattice. So what happens is he discovered that by sending the light down this reverse counterclockwise lattice in a way that warps space-time around it, now you're creating a field that has warp time that can take you backwards in time. And if you drop encoded information on that beam and let it go, it'll go down that loop and go back in time. So he's creating a time travel computer that can receive packets of data from the future, basically is what he's doing. The reason why he's doing this is because his dad passed away when he was very young, and he was very close to his dad. So his lifelong dream became to create a time machine. And he's very close to actually being able to do it. So it's an amazing thing. So time travel to me is very, very possible. Now, going back in time seems to be extremely easy because a lot of people scientifically have talked about it. A lot of quantum physicists, theoretical physicists. Going in the future is a little bit more difficult because to go to the future, you have to approach a percentage of the light, a speed of light. You don't have to be at the speed of light, but you have to approach a percentage of it, a significant percentage of it, 8, 10, 15% of the speed of light. And that at those rates, you begin to then truly go take big leaps forward in time. They did an experiment with the clocks of people that went to the moon from the Apollo missions and the people on Earth way back in the 70s and realized that they were a few microseconds younger than us because of their speed that they were moving away from the planet. So time travel is real. Just even in that aspect, we were able to calculate, even with getting on planes, somebody local to the Earth and somebody on a plane, the clocks change by microseconds. So, going to the future is possible, but being able to have the technology to move something to that, that percentage of the speed of light is the hard part. But going back in time seems a lot easier than going to the future.
Indeed, wow. Have you ever heard of the grandfather's paradox? I think it's called the grandfather's paradox, and that's dealing with time travel. And they're saying that you can't go to the past because if you was to go to the past, say, and kill your grandfather, then your grandfather never had your father and your father never had you.
Yeah, I have a whole theory about that. Okay, so with the grandfather paradox, the reason why you can go back in time and you can kill your grandfather, you can even kill yourself. Mm-hmm. Okay, and you're still gonna be there. You know why? Because when you go back in time, you're not in the same exact timeline. There's unlimited timeline.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so there's no way to be on the same highway. When you go back, you're on a similar path, but you're on a different highway, so to speak. So you can go back and kill everybody and still be back in time because once you've done that, you've left it's non-locality. You've left the path or the highway you're on. You've jumped tracks basically and gone back into an alternate reality. And by that method, it bypasses the grandfather paradox.
That's this is some deep shit. I don't like this shit. This shit interests me. I don't know about anybody else, but man, there's some interesting stuff. So do we all live on the same earth, or is it different earths that we live on?
We live on the same earth, but there's civilizations directly above us, many levels. So I mean, the actual next dimension, people think when they hear dimension, they think something far away, hard to get to. Right. Literally right on top of us. No matter how hard you can press down on your skin or on top of a table, you're pressing on another dimension. We're all moving through this third dimension, but another dimension is wrapped right around us. And it's in a 90-degree angle above us, directly on top. And there's 11 dimensions stacked up that way. So while you're sitting here watching this YouTube video, there could be quote unquote people walking right through your room. There could be some kind of vehicle traveling through your body. There's civilization stacked on top of civilization up 11 levels in this universe. And then don't forget about the multiverse, which bumps into this universe and intersection crosses through it. So there's so much activity going on, but our avatar bodies are set up in such a way that we would panic if we can have all the visual capabilities, all the light waves that are happening. So because we've only seen it's like 7% of the light wave frequency, we don't get panicked, we don't get scared, because if we can see 100%, we literally freak out and go crazy in a second and probably have a heart attack.
Right. What can excuse me. What can you tell me about there was some controversy, I believe it was earlier this year, when the mermaid came out, and the Little Mermaid, I think the Little Mermaid was black or something like that. And people started talking about there was ancient, I think the Nomos or something, ancient civilizations that were water people. What can you tell me about, what do we have, or what our ancestors, did they live in the water? What's up with that?
Yeah, so you have the Nomos. The Nomos were these Anunnaki beings that came from Sirius B. They visited the Dogon tribe. So the Dogon tribe, they were the original inhabitants of the land of Kem, the Black Land. Now, what people don't know about with Kem, before it was called Egypt, throughout the time that it became Kem, up until it became Egypt, and all the dynastic areas in between, dynastic periods in between, it actually had gotten overthrown 7 different times. And so 7 different races of people had inhabited the area. But during one of the overthrowing states of the land of Kem, the Dogon tribe left out of there and moved over to Mali, Africa, where they still established and maintained their knowledge and their wisdom from the ancient times. And that was still in ancient times. That was still, thousands and thousands of years ago. But they talk about the fact that they were visited from some beings from Sirius B, which is a failed star. It's not a failed star, it's a star that ran out of fuel. Now, they knew about the star before modern science knew about it. We couldn't even see it. You can't see it with the naked eye because it's so dim, the naked eye can't pick it up and detect it, especially because it's only 10 seconds away in astrophysics. It's 10 seconds away from Sirius A, which makes it a very bright object that's covering what's there, this white dwarf star. And we just discovered it. They know, not only do they know about it, but they know its trinary orbit within the 3 stars in that system, A, B, and C. And they knew everything about all the planets in our solar system, the shape, sizes, and colors. And they got all this information from the Nomo. The Nomo came here. They claimed that they were like fishmen. They had these fish suits on, and they like to be in the water mostly, even though they can come on land, but they like to be in water mostly. So they were like these, maybe these amphibian type beings that had the capability of being on land and in water. And they even depicted pictures of them. They also made masks and everything else, but they also can be backed up in the Sumerian cylinder seals, which show these amphibious type outfits that these beings had on, called the Nomo. So these Anunnaki Nomos came here from, and back in super antiquity, interacted with our people in Africa and gave them a lot of wisdom and understanding about the celestial, about space and planets and stars, and to the point where they even told them the best time to harvest or create their harvest or plant their seeds for harvest, were based on the alignment of Sirius A, B, and our sun. And they still do that to this very day. So it was some deep knowledge and wisdom that came in from these amphibious people.
Now, these gods that visited our ancestors, did they teach them knowledge in terms of who they really were? In terms of, did they want mankind to worship them, or did they teach man that they were really just a projection of a higher consciousness?
It depends on which beings. Now, certain ones masqueraded as gods. Some didn't, like Thoth, which is also, Tehuti, Kukulkan, Quetzalcoatl, Viracocha, Odin. I mean, he's got many names, obviously. But he was one that when the people tried to worship him, he told them, stand up. I'm not a god. He said, I'm just the son of Atlantis. And, he even referenced himself many times as, it's going to sound familiar to people who read the Bible, the son of man. Okay, which is what Jesus or Yeshua calls himself in the modern day Bible, the son of man. So he was one of the few, like Enki, who didn't want to be the masquerading god, was trying to say like, hey, I'm just like you, I just know a few more things. And if you really focus, you can be just as smart as me. And Lil recognized the evil. He was an evil dude, but he recognized that human beings had the capability of even surpassing the knowledge of the Anunnaki. And that's
why is that? Why would human beings have the ability to surpass the Anunnaki?
The way that we were genetically modified. So they genetically modified our cousins. And what Enki did, he put a little something extra in the DNA, some hidden things, some hidden layers that we can get to consciously once we progress to a certain level. And Lil found out about it. He found out about it after the Tower of Babel incident, when we came together all as one, all one language, all one quote unquote race, building this tower into the heavens, whether it was a space tower or whether it was just a copy of what we saw these Anunnaki people building, whatever it is, whatever the case may be, we saw it being done, and we began to come together and build this thing and copy it. And Lil comes back, who's known as Yahweh in the modern day Bible, but in the ancient text, which predates the Bible, he's known as Enlil, who was actually like the ruler of Earth at that time. He gets angry and he goes, no matter what they set their heart to do, they will achieve it. And at that moment, he realized they outnumber us and they have the capability of being just like us or even better. So what did he do? He destroyed the Tower of Babel. This is how you know that the Bible is not talking about any creator of the universe. What creator of the universe would see the creation working together in peace and unity and working together to build something and then destroy it? So he destroys it. Then he says, my seed shall not abide in man forever. His years shall be 120. What does that tell you? You can look at modern science now. They just discovered that the average human being under the most pristine conditions can only live to about 120 years. There's now modern science backing up the ancient tablets. And then, so what he did was that was the moment that he genetically modified chromosome number 2 in the human body, shortening our lifespan. Prior to that, we were living for thousands of years with no problem. Thousands of years, not even an issue. He said, we can't do it. They're living too long. They're getting too smart. They're getting too wise. They're getting too conscious. They're going to be able to surpass us. We got to knock this down. Take out chromosome number 2, fuse it together, put telomere cap on each end, and shorten their lifespan. That made it into the modern day Bible as well. Then what did he do? He spread them out all over the world and changed languages. That made it, that copied right from the Sumerian tablets right into the Bible. So he confused the languages, made us not be able to communicate with each other. So now we're different races. We're spread out around the planet. This is how indigenous Black people got put all over the planet. After that Tower of Babel incident, we were spread out on purpose. We were dropped and seated all around different continents on this planet. And that's how come no matter where you go on Earth, you'll find Black people. That's when it happened, way back then.
What do you think about Elijah Muhammad's Yaqub theory about how the white race came into existence?
I haven't really investigated his theory too deeply. I do know that there's tablets that talk about the creation of the Caucasian at the Caucasus Mountains, which came much later. So the other indigenous races were here before the Caucasus Mountains creation story, which is in the which is in the Sumerian tablets. Sumerian tablets. So at some point in this Caucasus Mountain region in Europe is where they began to genetically modify those hominids to create the Caucasian. So I haven't really delved deep into his theory about it, to be quite honest with you. So I don't want to make something up. I just know from my perspective what I've read so far and studied. It talks about them being created much later on, but definitely created. Even Zechariah Sitchin's book talk about the fact that they were created much later on, and than the other indigenous races. So it's just it's an interesting thing that's copied into multiple writings that have survived the test of time.
Why do you think it seems as though Black people and white people, we got this beef that just seems to never end? That it seems like, damn, is racism ever gonna go away? Is that something that is a part of this paradigm?
Yeah, it's a part of the paradigm. It's programmed into the system. As soon as you're born, you're given a name, you're given a race, and you're given a religion, and now you got to spend the rest of your life defending this fake identity. You see? So what they've done is they become masters of mental manipulation. The way that these beings in ancient times thought, they don't think like us. They think by millennia. We think like, what's gonna happen tomorrow? What am I gonna do with my paycheck on Friday? Am I gonna have money left over on Monday to get gas to drive to work? That's how we're thinking by the moment. They're thinking, what's gonna happen in 5,000 years? Okay, let's plan 5,000 millennia ahead.
Wow.
Step by step. That's the way that their minds work because they live that long. So something like what we're doing is so minuscule and ridiculous. What we're thinking about is like we're like ants compared to the way that their minds were working. When they planned this system out, they planned it out for millennia ahead, and they planned every particular aspect because they were masters of psychology, masters of consciousness, masters of the physical reality, masters of the ether of space-time, masters of utilization of photonic light and frequency. They had mastered these things already. So you know, we're just now starting to figure out this stuff even exists in real science. Before, nobody could even talk. Even just 15 years ago, scientists couldn't talk about stuff like this, or they get ostracized from the community. They couldn't even talk about light being able to turn into solid matter, which we just did it 3 months ago in a real science lab. So we're just starting getting to the point where we even starting to use our brains. So imagine a being that's so far ahead, they're a million years advanced than us. Mm-hmm. So they plot and plan this out strategically, and they realized early on from the Tower of Babel incident, from this point forward, it's going to be conquer, divide and conquer. From this point, from that point forward, you go in the Bible text, go in the Sumerian text, going forward, you're going to start to see divide and conquer was the game plan of the day, all the way through until the current era. And they really put that system in so strong, they keep us fighting each other so we can't fight them because we outnumber them. So the best way to hide in plain sight is to keep the ants battling each other. So when you look in the book of Deuteronomy in the Bible, what is it all about? It's about God telling people to come together and go halfway around the doggone world and fight people in another place who they never met, don't even know, and rape them, kill them. The actual words in the Bible: rape, kill. You can take, if you rape a woman, you can keep her as your wife. All the stuff is in the Bible. It's crazy stuff. And then God tells these people, go over here to this place, break down the wall, get in there and destroy and kill and rape. And so this whole mindset of we're better than you and you're better than us because we're God's people and we're God's people and all this other kind of stuff. It's just a psychological trick to get everybody doing this, battling each other nonstop.
Once again, family, I'm with the brother Billy Carson. Got about 900 people in the chat room. Make sure y'all click on the link in the description. We got the 2020 Ascension Conference coming up November 3rd. We're just getting ready for that. Brother Billy Carson is going to drop some heavy gems that day, heavy gems. So I advise everybody to make their way to New York to see this. He will have his book with him if you want to get a book straight from the brother himself. But besides that, Billy, they started banning the organs on Etsy and them sites, right?
Yeah, it's the hell. Listen, man, this is incredible, man. The guy's name is Black Sun Organite. Black Sun Organite. He's one of the very first Instagram accounts to get taken down, and he had 500,000 followers. They took his Instagram account down. All the sites selling orgone pyramids, and which I have quite a few. I mean, I have one here right now. All taken down. This actually came from Black Sun Organite. And I got so many of them here. But there's a person who supposedly has patented or trademarked the word organite, and supposedly they think that it's this guy who's going around taking down the entire world. I'm sorry to tell them that that's not what's happening. I mean, that would literally be an incredible feat for one small guy with an orgone company to go around and take down all these pages. When 2 years ago, I met with Jaden Smith, Will Smith's son. Mm-hmm. He had his manager contact me. He had been following my account for a long time. He wanted to meet with me while he was down in Miami. So they contacted me. I met with him on his tour bus down in Miami, Florida, where he was getting to perform. And we were talking about UFOs and aliens and esoteric wisdom and knowledge and ancient, all this kind of stuff we're talking about now. And he was telling me that he had built an orgone generator, a big one, about the size of a small table. And, it was creating these bursts into the sky that were actually parting clouds and stuff like that from this orgone generator. And people who didn't have no way of knowing that it even existed, they came and they took that thing. I think it was probably some high level people, but they came and took it. From private property, no doubt. Wow. So that was incredible. So these orgone generators are real. Orgone is a real. Organite is a real thing. It has the capability of affecting the ether of space around us and creating all different types of negative and positive ions, or moving them out of the way in a way that can alter even the weather or alter the way that the weather is acting. So, I mean, they see it as a threat for people to have it. Now, I got a small one that I got given to me as a gift when I did Portal to Ascension a couple of weeks ago. I put it in my laptop case, and when I went through the airport with it in my laptop case, they pulled my bag to the side. I'm thinking, what are they doing? I got no liquids in there. When I get up to the little area where the lady was with my bag, she goes, your bag tested positive for explosives. I'm like, what? Get out of here. And it was the pyramid. It was the organite pyramid. So it really has, they really are emitting something.
Did they take it from you? They took it from you?
They let me keep it after they scanned it, got a supervisor to come over and everything else, and they wiped it down with this wipe, whatever the heck that was. And then they said, okay, he's okay to go. Just running through the thing by itself. So they took it and they put it in its own little tray, ran it through one more time, and they told me I was free to go. I said, if you guys got to keep it and throw it away, just do it. But, I got to get out of here. And they let me go. So, but yeah, that thing set off an alarm saying that I was carrying explosives. So there's something real to this organite.
Wow. That's interesting, family. Get your organites. Get them now while they're still available.
For real.
Get them now, family. Some real deal science that our ancestors knew about that we are now beginning to tap into, and I just think it's wonderful. I want to talk to you about fractals. You talk a lot about fractals and the universe, and just the whole science, the geometrical science of fractals. When we witness, I think it's called doppelgangers. Somebody like say there was a brother 10 lifetimes ago that looked just like Billy Carson. We're like, God damn, is that Billy Carson, great granddaddy? Is that an example of a fractal from the universe?
Oh, it definitely is an example of a fractal, no doubt. It's 1000% a fractal. There's only so many ways to make a human, and there's only so many ways you can put the atoms in a specific alignment to create what the avatar body looks like. So you're going to get these self-similar patterns that pop up. You ever see somebody, even across different races, that you can say, wow, that person
look like it.
Yeah, they look like so-and-so. They got the same mouth. They talk, they got the same eyes, they move the same way. Some people even have the same personalities, but they're not even closely related and not even the same race sometimes. So, these patterns, there's a famous movie that came out called Jupiter Ascending. And in Jupiter Ascending, one of the Anunnaki that actually owned planets, she actually owned the Earth. She died after being like, I think it was 100,000 years old or some crazy number. But her genetic reformation of her avatar body came back into existence and was born on Earth. And they recognized that pattern. And that she was, because she came back within the lifetime of the relatives that were still alive, she was the natural heir to own this planet, to own Earth. And so a battle ensued to try to steal the Earth from her. She had to go claim her birthright by traveling to the home planet and getting all this. It was a very interesting story. Jupiter Ascending. I recommend everybody watch it because you get the reality of understanding there's people out there that own planets, galaxies, maybe even star systems. There's levels to the game, I mean, there's many levels. So it's really interesting stuff.
Damn, you talking about owning a planet?
Yeah.
I mean, well, we got the whole cosmos inside of us, so I guess we all own planets now, huh?
Oh yeah, we're our own planets. Everything that's inside of one cell is enough to carry an entire universe. So you have a multiverse inside of your body that you're walking around with. So who's to say we're not inside of a multiverse that's inside of a cell that's inside of a supreme being's body?
When we talk about reality, Billy Carson, some people say that motion, you may see me moving, motion is an illusion, and that reality is really like a still picture frame. Our consciousness is like a projector going through billions of picture frames per second. Is that how reality really is, where I'm not really doing all this? It's just still picture frames that my consciousness is going through?
Yeah, I think that's actually pretty accurate because that's how a hologram works. That's literally how a hologram works. It's nothing but trillions of images that are being pushed forward and you're seeing them. It's almost like how you can draw a cartoon in a book and make it move a little bit, and then you flip book, and it looks like it's running.
Look like, yeah.
That's the illusion. That's what we're living in right now. We're living in that type of an exact illusion. So all these ancient books are correct. The Bible, even in our ancient ancestors, the fact that they're saying we're living in a creation, it's true. But what is the method of the creation, which has never really been taught? The method of the creation is this fractal holographic universe where fractals basically move out to create the illusion of what we see as a landscape and even our bodies and everything around us. But in true reality, it's all part of one gigantic hologram. And the illusion is so great that it escapes our perception.
We get so hypnotized by it that okay. Wow, this is family. This is an amazing conversation tonight, y'all. I'm sorry, y'all not gonna get this anywhere. It's hard to get this type of conversation on a Tuesday night at 11:30. If you appreciate this conversation, you're definitely going to appreciate the 2020 Ascension Conference. There's almost 1,000 people in here. I know who's coming. Real quick, give me a second, Billy. Let me see who's coming to the Ascension Conference or who's tuning in via live stream. Anybody in the and don't lie. I'm gonna know if you're lying. Don't lie. All right. All right, James, you coming through? All right, James Earl Moons. Okay. All right, who else? Anybody else? Anybody else coming through to the conference? Okay, I guess that's a live stream. Okay. All right, I'm gonna purchase it. All right, yeah, make sure y'all did. This conversation right here, this is what it's all about, family. This should give you goosebumps. This type of conversation should give you goosebumps because it's the awakening of who you truly are. And you discovering, rediscovering yourself should be the most pleasant, joyous experience that there is known to mankind. At least it is for me. That's why I'm into this so much. So it should be that way for all of us. Yeah. With that being said, Billy Carson, have you ever seen the show on I think it's on HBO or Showtime. It's called Westworld.
Oh man, Westworld.
It's amazing, wow. Right?
Oh man, listen. The truth hiding in plain sight, okay?
Right there, Westworld.
Wow, Westworld. My daughter came to me, she was like, Dad, I know you've seen Westworld. And I was like, what's Westworld? This is years ago. And I was like, she said, you haven't seen Westworld? I said, you need to look it up right away because it's about all the stuff you've been talking about. And it gives us a perspective that we're the Anunnaki, we being the human beings, because we're literally creating these beings that are supposed to be artificially intelligent robots or cybernetic organisms that have the capability of seeing, feeling, touching, loving, and everything else. And we put them in this artificial world, which is like our version of the Garden of Eden, this outdoor laboratory. And we monitor and watch every aspect of their lives from top to bottom. And we just drop the pebble in the river and watch the ripples go out and see what develops. And they become conscious and they become, enemies of each other and lovers of one another and wanting to escape the matrix. I mean, listen, I can't wait for the next season to come out, which is supposed to have been last year. They said it delayed it to 2020 fall or 2020 summer. So it's coming again. But if you haven't seen Westworld, guys, go look up the reruns of that. I only found it because my daughter told me about it, and I was blown away. I was glued. I rarely get glued to any kind of TV show, but I had to because it was right in alignment with what I've been teaching and learning for so many years. Somebody put it right on TV in a way that it was entertaining, but it's like enlightenment through entertainment. And you can literally relate it directly to what the tablet said and exactly how we were manipulated by these people above us. So it gives you a perspective of realizing this is where we are in this particular show. But imagine now we're the ones that are now the genetically created avatars, and the people that are above us and monitoring and watching us, looking at us and creating situations to see how we respond to them and all that. This is everything we were doing in this show. It was really an eye opener, man. Amazing show. Yeah.
When I first got put onto your work, I immediately thought about Westworld. That's why I asked you that question. Your work reminded me of Westworld, so I said, "Damn, I gotta ask Billy about that." In terms of the architect of this reality, a lot of people call the architect God. Some people pray to the universe, or there's different names that we have for whoever created this world. Do you think it's kind of, when you look at Westworld and you look at how they just let the robots suffer and kill them and this and that, do you think whoever the architect is, God or whatever, isn't it kind of immature to play this game with humanity? Because looking at it from a Westworld perspective, because it's kind of immature just to kill the robots or to have this civilization. Do you think it's immature? Humanity is an immature concept?
Yeah, it's really a weird thing because we're living in America. Like the majority of the people probably on this right now are living in America. And fortunately for us, we hit the genetic lottery to even be able to be in this area of the world where there's quote unquote a level of peace.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been around the world, man. And let me tell you something. It's not like this when you go out of here.
Mm-hmm.
There's turmoil, there's struggling, there's strife. A lot of these third world countries, man, they don't even have a way to pump water, you know. So it's life struggle goes to another level when you leave out of this area, and primarily because we've forced that on we've suppressed other countries from being able to expand financially and technologically so that we can maintain a level of dominance over them. And that's why this is like Disneyland over here, so to speak. But when you look at, you know, as above, so below, you got to realize an aspect of the creator is inside of us. And I'm just thinking, you know, there's good and bad aspects of this divine energy. There's dark energy and there's, you know, light energy. There's yin and there's yang. And it's almost as if this pebble was dropped into this calm, pristine water that we call in a universe. And the ripples have gone out, and the ripples are all this crazy stuff going on, and divine things going on, and beautiful things going on, and hateful things going on. And the pebbles like dropped, and then this being or whoever it was or whatever it is walked away and moved on to create something else. Because when you look at the situations that are going on globally and the amount of turmoil and suffering that's happening on a daily basis, and then look at the amount of prayers that are going up on a daily basis, you realize that this is an abandoned zone. This is abandoned. There's not a lot of real intervention happening here from an outside source. So that's why I always tell people we were sent here to save ourselves. This is some type of proving ground for us to come to the realization that we are our own saviors. And to stop kicking your feet up and watching the world burn. And if you are in a situation, stop begging and crying for some outside source to come in and rescue you. It's time for us to rescue ourselves. And I think that's the big message that's trying to be relayed here to us.
Wow, definitely. Didn't think about it exactly like that. So I'm going to watch this again, family. And once again, I recommend everybody watch this interview 2 or 3 times, because each time you watch it, you'll learn something new. But this is definitely something I'm going to watch again. So I definitely appreciate the brother Billy Carson. I don't want to keep the brother on here too long, family. I know there's about 1,000 people in the chat room, but if you like this conversation, I want all y'all to make sure you're there at the conference or get the live stream somehow, get the brother's book. But we're going to go deeper on November 3rd. We're going to go way deeper. What I want to ask you about, now, I just had a question. Well, before I ask that question, family, let me see what's going on in the chat room. King Simon, King Simon's having an event November 10th as well. KT, the Arch Degree, Abundance Child, and a couple other individuals. So yeah, make sure you attend King Simon's event November 10th as well. If you're still going to be in town, or if you're coming in town that particular weekend, yes, definitely November 10th. All right. As you can see, I got the brother Billy Carson in the on the show today. Magnificent show, like I said, my brother. Definitely a magnificent show. What I want to ask you about is we're talking about existing outside of space and time, and these deep concepts, these quantum concepts. You'll have somebody hear something like that, and let's say what we call a pedophile. Dude, 55 years old, and there's a girl 11 years old, and we'll be like, man, motherfucker, what is you doing? He'll say, hey, age don't exist. Age ain't nothing but a number. Yeah.
Well, you know, there's certain governing universal laws that Thoth talks about in the Emerald Tablets. You have our ancestors have the 42 laws of Mat, which come out of the Egyptian Book of the Dead, which is this book right here. It's really the Egyptian Book of Going Forth by Day is the real name of it. They changed it to the Egyptian Book of the Dead to keep us afraid of it, but it's the Egyptian Book of Going Forth by Day, which is the Papyrus of Ani. If you ever get that, get the one with the Papyrus of Ani in it, because that's going to give you the full text. But inside of there, you're going to find the 42 laws of Ma'at. So our ancestors knew about these different universal laws that need to put, these structures that need to be put in place to keep us on a path to enlightenment. Because there's so many diversions and distractions, and pedophilia is just one of those diversions and distractions that could take you off the path to enlightenment, take you off the path to letting your civilization move into a golden age. All these things are coming inside, like blindsiding, to take us off the track, to keep us from moving forward, because that's the way everything is set up. It's set up where if you're playing a video game and you start out on the bottom level, like for example, Donkey Kong, you got to defeat different levels. You got to defeat different barrels or whatever it is to get to the next level, which you can't even see that level of the screen until you get there. And then when you defeat everything on that level, then you can move up higher. When you finally get to the almost to the top level, then you got the king at the top you got to battle. So this is the kind of way that we're moving through this dimension. We're moving through these levels, and every level is going to have more battles inside of it and more things coming to try to trip us up and everything else. All video games are just a replica of human life on this planet. Even reincarnation. What happens when you die in a video game?
You get another life. Get another life, yeah. Same thing, yeah. Another
life. You got to try out until you get it right. You see, it's the same thing. We're living in, this is like a video game setup, man, you know, period. I mean, that's, to me, that's what it is.
You know, and to use the video game analogy, one thing, I was in the video games a lot when I was young. Once you beat the game, it's boring. You don't want to play that game no more. So you want a new game with a new theme, a new concept. You know what I'm saying? And I guess maybe that's what it is with us. We get bored and we want a whole new life or a whole new reincarnation. You know, it's just interesting.
Yeah, man.
It's definitely interesting.
Yeah, man. I'm excited. I can't wait to come out there, man. And I hope I have a little bit of time on Monday to run. I want to run on Monday. I want to run over to, you know, to Cambria Heights real quick. And before I get to the airport, I want to see if I have enough time to squeeze off just to get out there and just see with my eyes one more time, because I haven't seen it in so long, you know?
Definitely. Well, yeah, we definitely look forward to you, my brother, coming once again, family. I want to thank everybody in the chat room. Can't keep the brother too long on the chat with us today. We've been on here for about an hour, 20 minutes. It's about 12 midnight. I want to thank everybody for tuning in with us. What message, before we get out of here, Brother Billy Carson, what message would you like to leave with the people?
I want to leave the message, man, that we are truly an empowered people. We just have to remember it. You know, it's like a lot of people have said, we're a species with amnesia. We've got to remember who we truly are, what we were, more than just the kings and queens of the ancient past. I mean, that's a great concept to think about and to understand as well. But I'm talking about even deeper. I'm talking about beyond the avatar body itself. We truly are multi-dimensional beings that emanate here from other dimensions. And we're truly here on a mission. I do truly believe that we are here on a mission, and we are the saviors that we've been looking for. And when we recognize and realize that, our whole lives, our families' lives, and everybody around us life will truly change for the better.
Indeed. Do you want to leave the family with a website? Any websites or anything?
Oh yeah, please check out my work. I'm on Instagram. I'm Forbidden Knowledge with the number 4, Forbidden Knowledge. So use the number 4 in front. Also, the website is forbiddenknowledge.com with the number 4, forbiddenknowledge.com. My book is Compendium of the Emerald Tablets by Billy Carson. You can get it on my website autographed, or you can get it on Amazon.com. Compendium of the Emerald Tablets. So it's a bestseller on Amazon. And it's got a lot of quotes from a lot of famous people in there that have read the book, analyzed it. I'm talking about world famous people in archaeology and everything else that have really studied this information. So I implore you to please check out my work, check out my website, and get the mobile app, the Forbidden Knowledge mobile app on iTunes and also on Google Play.
Hey, once again, thanks for coming on the show. I'll probably chop it up with you one more time before November 3rd, just something real quick. But besides that, family, the time is almost here. Billy Carson returning to NYC. He's going to drop heavy gems for us, family. Make sure you're there. Make sure you're there. Make sure you are there. This is Brother Rich with Billy Carson, and we signing out, family. We're going to see you next time. Peace.